that's the one I did last night, so I'll just undo it and redo it for you. Okay. I'll take over your computers now as well. What we want to achieve, this is like cooking with, like those cooking shows. This is the one that we've cooked before, and it's really tasty, but guess what? On television, you can't taste it, and you can't tell it's cold. Anyone who's ever been on one of those cooking shows will realise those judges have to eat cold food that's made 12 hours before, probably gone off. You know, under all of those lights, I wouldn't do it. Anyway, that's just me being silly. What we want to achieve is the ability to put this diagonal bracing into the model. So far, we've made the portal frame, and we've used a standard portal frame out of the library. We've modified it by putting on the cleats. We've drilled holes in the cleats. We've used standard C purlins on top of that. We've worked out how to rotate those, etc., etc. So we're learning quite well. We're learning a whole lot of different skills in the Archicad. The diagonals are probably the hardest thing to master, and luckily, after about 5 years, I finally worked it out. So last night, I had my big moment. I worked it out. I know I'm wasting your video. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Don't look at me like that.
Now 마무리.
Okay, right. So let's go back here. I'm going to delete the ones that I've got and start again. And you know what? The more I do it, the better I get at it. And this is the same with all CAD. The more you do it, so practice, practice, practice. Okay? And I'm going to get rid of the sky, and I'm going to start from scratch. So the way we start is, we've got our model built up. We go to the object tool, and I go to steel beams, and I've picked this round steel beam. The size of it's about 50 millimetres, and the length, I'm going to put in 9 metres to start with. It's wrong, but I'll put it 9 metres because I need it more than 2 metres long. Okay, simple as that. The other thing that I can do is in placement, I can change the angle of this, and that's going to be very useful for us. And I'm going to guess that the angle is about 30 degrees. Okay, so the last thing that I do is up here, I rotate it around, I put the insertion point down the bottom. Okay. So I'll place my diagonal tube there, and then I'll go into the elevation and see what I've got. So let's open this elevation, and there's the piece that I put in. You can see it's way too big, but it's pretty close to the angle that we want to achieve, which is a good start. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line which is exactly where I want to place this beam. You don't have to do this, but I find it's good because you've got something that you're working to. So I'm just going to draw a red line, and this one's going to be working from about here down to about there. So that's where I want this beam to end up, and so now I'm going to measure the angle using this tool. So from there to there, it tells me, come on, be good. It's 149.02. So what we've got to do is we've got to take 180 degrees minus 149.02. So it's roughly 31 degrees. Plus or minus 0.02, so it's 30.98 degrees.
But the other day we worked here at 28, wasn't it?
180 is 2 quadrants.
Yeah, I understand, but you work it at 28, not
Well,
31.
It showed 149 at that angle.
All right.
So it's actually, it starts out there, 90 is there, and 149.
Yeah, no, I understand, but what I'm saying is on Monday, we worked it at 28.85.
Yeah, that's because I've probably changed the position of these 2 points.
All right, yeah, okay.
Okay. It doesn't really matter. It can be within that range. So I'm going to make this 31 degrees. Change that to 31. You see, let's crank that up. And then I'm just going to drag that beam across. And with dragging, this is the drag function, there. Notice it follows the line perfectly. The next thing I do is I go to that pink dot in the middle, because that allows me this new button here, which is Move Node. So this is the way I change the length of it. I changed the length back to there. We're almost finished it. This wasn't very hard at all. What we've achieved is we've got a beam at the right angle. We go back to the plan view and we'll see that it's outside of the building. We go to 3D view, you see where it's sitting, and that's all on purpose because we didn't want it colliding with anything else. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colour of it, because I like these to be yellow, not gold, yellow. Where's yellow? Pink yellow. Right, so now it's in yellow. Last thing we do is we select it, we drag it into our structure somewhere around, hold down the shift key, somewhere in the middle there, and then we test it in 3D, rotate around, and you can see at the bottom there, it's come in at a nice place, and also it should be at the top. There it is too. Okay, so there's a success with that. That worked. To do the top one, it's going to be a different story. One of the things that we've been working with so far in placing this has been an elevational section exactly parallel to it. So that when we move it up or down, we change the angle, it works exactly for us that way. So using that logic, I've actually got another elevation here, which is exactly at the angle that I want the top bracing to be. So where I want the top one, I'll get rid of that. Again, I go to my line tool and I think about it, and it's going to be somewhere here. That's the top part of it. And then when it finishes, it'll finish somewhere in there, say. And so get rid of this section, start again. So that's where I want it to be sitting if I'm looking at it in plan view, but we know that it's actually on an angle as well. Right. So the next thing I do is go back, draw another section. This time, I'm just going to draw straight over the top of that line and look that way, and then I will select my elevation, and notice I go right to the middle of it because I know that's where I'll click and it'll pick it straight away. Those black dots are obviously the only places you could select that elevation from. So I'm going to move that back. And then I'm going to stretch it out because the extent of that elevation is defined by these black dots. So it has to be past that point, And then I'm going to open up this, open the current settings, and we're going to see this bit of a mess here. And we're going, what are we looking at? And actually, it's not long enough. Or is it? Oh no, we're going to there. So what I want to achieve is, I want my cross brace at the top, not to go through these purlins, but actually just to connect that portal frame with that portal frame there. So I'm going to get a line tool and say it starts about here, it goes to there. And before I finish clicking, you can see that it gives me a distance and it gives me an angle of 10.77 degrees, which I'm going to write down now, so I don't forget. So I'll just click there. That's where I want my diagonal bracing to be in the roof plane. So I've marked it in plan and I've marked it in a parallel section. They're the two things that help us a lot to get this in the right spot without too much drama. Then I've already got one here, so I'm going to take this one, I'm going to drag a copy, and using that pink dot, just line it up with that line there, and then it's a move command. And we'll take that across to there. And straight away you see it's too short. That's not a problem. All we have to do is hit that pink dot, and this guy comes up, which says move node. That's basically stretch. Stretch it right up to there. And before we even go into that section, let's change the angle of that. And we're going to make the angle now 10.77 degrees. Press enter, and it makes it longer again. So then we change it back, the length. Let's stretch it back to somewhere there. And hopefully we've done the job. So let's check this section. Oh, the only other thing that we've got to do now is just make sure it's the right height. And it won't be. Yeah, okay. So that's our beam. And let's just drag it, holding the shift key down. Drag it up there. Maybe a little bit higher. Okay, that looks okay to me. So collides through there, collides through there. That should be good. Go back here. It hasn't changed any on the floor plan view. Our elevation looks good. Let's look at it in 3D. Hit F5, and there it's lining up there, which is reasonable. Oops, I've got a bloody nose. And it lines up there, which is reasonable. Okay, so that's reasonable. That one's been placed in a reasonable manner. The last thing we need to do is put its other member there, because we're going to bisect that one. So we'll select that column again. So it's a beam. That's the line. Look at that. Select this, and I'm going to go move, mirror copy, and I go to the midpoint, which is this black dot, and just put a line straight up. And that's given me a mirrored copy of that, but the problem is the height will be wrong. Or, no, sorry, the angle will be wrong. And so we select this one and come back here, and instead of 10.77, can anyone tell me what we might put there?
Minus.
Minus, of course. So we'll do that, and now let's hit it in 3D, and for some reason still
The height is gonna be
still the wrong height, yeah, because, I don't know, it's the wrong height. How do we fix that? Well, if we select this one, which we know is the correct height, it gives us a height here of 3884. So if we go to that one, it should be the same height, it's not. So let's go 3884. And now those two should be exactly the same, and I'll prove it to you. Look at that junction, perfect. Okay, so there's your top bracing, there's your side bracing, and I think I've made it look simpler than it really is, but it's all to do with technique. You really have to be on top of your 3D and understand what you're doing in all of these commands to make that work so easily. I remember in years gone by, we've had hours trying to do